2 months into the new year and already things are looking great. Pokemon's still going strong with its 2 newest entries, the world's still going to shit, but most importantly, I got a new editing software that I can use to make videos on. But what should I do a video on? Oh? What's this? A response to a commentary that's super salty? And it's about Pokemon? Well, it looks like I found my material, but who should I use as an avatar? I already used Zinnia twice. Well, the person he's responding to did use Greninja in their commentary, so why don't I choose the actual good Pokemon? Hey, I'm just saying, Charizard still beat Greninja despite the type advantage.
Hey guys, it's the Metalblade 5, and welcome to my response to Relum Worstless. I don't care how I pronounce his name.
Well, aren't you a lazy fuck? If you can't say the name of your enemy, you've already lost the battle.
Metalblade doesn't look like a Pokemon commentary, which doesn't make any sense since I'm not a Pokemon, so of course I'm not going to look like one.
Really? This is how we're going to start the video? By taking a joke seriously? Lord Almighty, this is going to be a long video! Pack your shit, folks, because we're going for a fucking ride! Shut the fuck up!
Now this commentary is a response to my top 10 most hated Pokemon list, so it's time for me to fight fire with fire.
Look out, guys, we got a badass over here. You expect anyone to take you seriously after saying that? Calm down, Reaper, holy shit.
But before I start, I want to get one thing straight. I'm not hating on this video because it criticizes one of my own videos. I actually can take criticism, believe it or not. The reason why I'm responding to it is because everything about this video to me is wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this because this is gonna end up biting him in the ass later.
You're a fucking cunt.
And most of all, rather than providing constructive criticism, he instead uses opportunity to straight up attack me and encourages viewers to harass me.
But Realm Wars never did that. If you actually watched his video, never once did he encourage his audience to go and attack you. Now, I'm not gonna say Metalblade didn't watch Realm's video, but throughout this response, he just flat out makes up points, which makes me believe that he only watched bits and pieces of it because he didn't like what Realm had to say, which makes this little clip here,
because everything about this video to me is wrong,
completely invalid, because he didn't watch all of Realm's video, and this shows throughout his response.
Shut the fuck up.
So first up, before he even gets to the list, he talks about how in my intro I said I've covered my favorite Pokemon and my favorite legendaries, and calls me stupid for saying legendaries. That's the actual plural for legendary. When I was writing the script for my top 10 favorite legendary Pokemon, I typed legendaries and it had the red squiggly line in which I clicked and the correction was legendaries. That's the actual word. Maybe you should check that before you start saying I'm stupid. So we've covered my favorite Pokemon and my favorite legendaries.
Legendaries?
Legendaries.
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 Look, I think Alolan Executor is cool too, but it ain't that good.
Now, I don't know about you, but throughout that clip, never once did Realm call Metalblade stupid. But hey, it's okay to make bullshit claims like that. What Realm was doing was making fun of how you said legendaries. And on the subject of pronunciation, can I also add in that despite that you said legendaries is the correct way to say it, you used the incorrect word in the description of your top 10 worst Pokemon? Also, you got favorites wrong, dude, what the fuck? That's not even a hard word.
You're a fucking cunt.
Next, he goes over how I say that the only thing witch-related about Delphox is the stick it uses as a wand, by saying that its arms are supposed to look like wizard robes. First off, it's not even confirmed that that's the case.
This official piece of artwork showing Delphox both stick out of its fur like a cloak begs to differ.
But wizards are not witches. Witches do not wear wizard robes. Then he goes over my suggestions for how Delphox could have looked more like a witch by saying that when I talk about the fur on its head possibly looking like a witch's hat, he says, its fur is already designed after a witch. And once again, witches do not wear wizard robes.
Sure, witches don't wear wizard robes, but they wear robes nonetheless. There's also the fact we can consider that Delphox was based on a mage, not a witch. And considering that all three of the Calistars are based on Western RPG classes, with Chestnut being a warrior and Greninja being a thief, one could argue that Delphox is a mage, not a witch. And one of the most iconic things about a mage is that they wear cloaks.
Shut the fuck up.
Also, a lot of it just skips past and doesn't even acknowledge the fact that Delphox's design grew on me, and that I think it's good in battle, to take my points even more out of context.
It's simple, Rum didn't have anything to add on that bit. He wasn't trying to take you out of context. Also, might I add, If Delphox's design grew on you, then why bitch about it to begin with?
Instead, he just uses this really annoying skipping animation. Seriously, that is one of the most annoying things I have ever seen in my life. Aside from your arguments.
Oh, of course you'd use that clip. Only a fake audience would applaud that petty little thing you called an insult.
First off, he criticizes me just for briefly mentioning that I don't find Unknown's design interesting, despite saying that it doesn't have anything to do with why I dislike it. It was only for a brief mention, and I just wanted to point it out in case anyone was curious as to what my thoughts on Unknown's design was.
Still doesn't excuse the fact that it was needless padding.
Basically, the entire Unknown section of this video boils down to him saying that my reasons for why I don't like Unknown are wrong because it was created specifically to introduce hidden power and for world building. That is a flimsy excuse. You don't need to introduce a completely new Pokemon to learn about one move, which almost every Pokemon can learn.
But keep in mind, hidden power isn't just a move, it's a mechanic, and Game Freak thought the best way to implement this new mechanic at the time was by creating a species of Pokemon who know this move. Kinda like how they invented baby Pokemon to implement breeding, or Umbreon and Espeon to introduce a day and night mechanic, or Plusle and Minun to introduce double battling. I mean, yeah, Unknown still sucks, but complaining about it only knowing one move is the equivalent of complaining about baby Pokemon having bad stats.
And as for world building, they could have just used the Unknown text as the ancient language, rather than making the language an actual Pokemon.
But why? One of the most interesting things about the Unknown is they're tied to ancient writing, and you just take that away just because you thought they sucked? Fuck off.
Even then, that doesn't excuse Unknown for sucking. I mean, Arceus is the god of Pokemon, and also exists for world building, but it has the highest base stats of any non-Mega Evolved Pokemon. And I can mention a bunch of other Pokemon for a similar case.
You compare some simple Pokemon to God. Yeah, great analogy there, buddy. You do realize that not every single Pokemon used for world building needs to be this super powerhouse. Again, look at baby Pokemon. They exist for the sake of implementing breeding. Or hell, a better example is Regigigas. He pulled the continents together in the world and created the Regis. But fuck man, Slow Start makes him really difficult to use.
Shut the fuck up.
Next up, he criticizes me over talking about Unknown's ability to bend reality with it not being mentioned in the Pokedex. I will give you that the Pokedex doesn't mention bending reality, but it still mentions that it has a strange power which you've never seen in the games. As for the anime, he says that I'm wrong because the anime pulls a lot of bullshit. I know the anime does a lot of stupid stuff, but it doesn't outright lie about the abilities of a Pokemon, except for Unknown, and I guess Pikachu and being able to electrocute ground types.
Let's see, there's that, Pokemon using moves they shouldn't be able to use, Ash's Snorlax having 6 moves instead of 4, oh yeah, and Greninja losing to a Charizard of all things, need I go on? The Pokemon anime pulls a lot of stupid shit, and the only reason why you're even debating this is because you don't want to admit you're wrong.
You're a fucking cunt.
Next up, he criticizes me for not mentioning people who thought Unknown would be powerful based on the third movie. Well, since this is apparently such a massive problem, Tricky Wii and Tamashi Hiroka did a list of their top 10 most disappointing Pokemon. Unknown was on the list, and the reason was because they thought it would be powerful from seeing the third movie, and even some people in the comments said the same thing. Are you happy now?
Yes, but this just makes me ask why you didn't put this in your video to begin with. This would have made your argument on Unknown far stronger if you provided these examples.
Then he says my point about Unknown being connected to Arceus is wrong because I said it was reinstated in fan theories. Reinstated! Do you not know what the word means?
Reinstate. Verb. Restore someone or something to their former position or condition. Do you know what reinstate means? And these ideas came from fan theories. Have they been confirmed by Nintendo, or Game Freak, or the Pokemon Company? If not, then fuck off with your shitty argument then.
In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Unknown appeared during the Arceus event, which is what spawned these theories to begin with. I wasn't going off of the theories, I was going off of the games, and the proof is literally on the fucking screen!
Well, that's on you then, for not conveying it properly. I've seen your video. Not once did you state that your idea of Unknown being connected to Arceus was from the games.
Also, Unknown has been heavily implied to be connected to Arceus, which has been reinstated in many fan theories, but when it comes to plots, Unknown plays no part.
See, not once did he mention going off on the games. And this is another thing Metal Blade needs to understand. If your audience gets confused because you're shit at explaining, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Next he talks about me going over the side quest in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, where you had to catch every Unknown form being unrewarding by saying that I didn't go over why it was unrewarding. It's unrewarding because all you get is a rare candy, which is a good item, but you could just grind to have your Pokemon level up, and that would be much faster. The only reason why I didn't go into the specifics is because it would be going off topic.
Fuck you! No, it's not! That wouldn't be going off topic! Here, you are trying to explain why this side quest is meaningless. You're just making up bullshit to defend yourself now.
Shut the fuck up.
Getting to Alamamola, he says my point on it and Love Disc looking similar is wrong, because there are animals in the real world that look similar, but are different species. This is Pokemon, not the real world.
I mean, a majority of Pokemon are based on real-life animals, but what the fuck do I know? Let's trust the guy who can't use Bulbapedia correctly.
Alamamola is the only case of a Pokemon looking so similar to another, but it having absolutely no connection. He uses examples such as Caterpie and Wurmple to explain similar-looking Pokemon, but they don't look similar at all. Caterpie is green with a large round head, while Wurmple is red with a slimmer head and spiny back. What were you trying to convey here?
I mean, if you actually looked around, you'd notice that there are tons and tons of Pokemon that actually look alike if you think about it, not just Alomola and Luvdisc. But hey, that would require work, and work is hard.
You're a fucking cunt.
Moving to Alamamola's move pool, he tells me that I should just use it for double battles. Except the vast majority of battles in Pokemon games are single battles.
You can always have double battles at the Battle Frontier and the Battle Tree.
I know this VGC, but I'm not a competitive player, and this list was supposed to be more of a general view of each Pokemon, covering their uses in all forms of battles.
All forms of battle, eh? So this would include double battles? Do you not think before you speak?
And on the subject of move pool, we get to a recurring trend in this video. From this point on, up until Incineroar, he slams me for not mentioning moves that these Pokemon can learn through TM, breeding, and tutors. There's a reason why I didn't mention them, being that you have to go out of your way to teach them those moves. For TMs, you need the actual TM. For breeding, you need to hatch from an egg with the proper parent to get the right move, and for tutors, you need to find the move tutor and have the proper item to teach them the move in the first place. I thought that from my wording during these sections, such as the moves it naturally learns, and especially from saying you're going to have to rely on TMs to get this thing good type coverage when going over Beware, would have shown this, but since you were possibly half asleep when watching my video, you didn't catch that. Besides, there are other YouTubers who criticize Pokemon for having to rely on TMs for moves. For example, in Sugar Compromise Pokemon Platinum LP, there were some Pokemon he said weren't good, partially because they needed TMs to learn good moves. So why is it okay for him to do it, but not me? You could argue that I didn't make my reasoning clear enough, but the fact that you didn't even consider this possibility is what pisses me off the most. So there goes about half of the complaints that you bring up just gone.
Oh my fucking god. Do you not know how much of a bitch you sound like right now? Okay, let's start with TMs. Here's the thing about TMs. They are super fucking easy to get. The fact that you can get them at the store, and before Sun and Moon gym leaders gave them to you, plus the fact they last forever now, they're so easy. Just because you're being a lazy cunt about it, it's not the Pokemon's fault. That's on you because you don't want to go and get them. And I understand that some of them are a little hard to get, but not all of them. And the same goes for breeding moves. Breeding is so easy. Anyone can do it. Well, I guess except you because you'd bitch about it. And for tutoring moves, just go to one of the restaurants in Alola and one of the kahunas will give you heart scales. It has to be the most easiest way to get heart scales, and you're bitching about it. And then you turn around and bitch at Rome for not getting it because you didn't explain jack or shit? Really? And no, just because someone else said it doesn't mean it's okay for you to say it. What, if Chuggaganory jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? Are you that retarded?
Next up, Alolan Persian. First up, he calls me a fat-shaming fuck for saying that Alolan Persian was fat. I was more referring to it being fat for no reason, rather than hating it because it was fat.
He was making a joke, but I guess this answers my question about your intelligence.
You're a fucking cunt.
You also mentioned that Alolan Persian isn't even fat, but if you compare the in-game models of Alolan Persian and regular Persian, its body is chubbier.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell considering how tiny normal Persian looks in that pic. Might I also add in the official artwork that Alolan Persian is still depicted to be quite slender. And sure, it is a little bit fatter than regular Persian, but only by a little, specifically 2 pounds. So even then, it's not that fat, so why bitch about it?
Shut the fuck up.
Getting back to my opinions, for some ungodly reason, this guy takes such offense to me saying, "in my opinion," in the video. I know I say it a lot, but the reason why I say it is because I don't want people to think I'm saying these things as a fact. I do say it's my opinion at the beginning, but with saying things like a lowland person's model looks just as bad as in the data mine, which, by the way, I meant from actually seeing its animations in-game, I don't want people to think that I'm factually saying that. So that's why I add, "in my opinion."
That is a bullshit excuse, and you know it. Anyone who watches a top 10 list should know that it's purely subjective. So either you think your audience is full of idiots, or you're that bad at script writing. So pick your poison.
Because I actually respect other people's opinions, unlike what you kind of came across as by calling me stupid. It's just the kind of person I am. So attacking me for saying this is effectively attacking my personality. Also, you think that I'm only saying "in my opinion" to avoid criticism, which isn't the case at all. I'm all for constructive criticism, which you don't give, and I'm fully aware that you can criticize the reasoning behind someone's opinion. Hell, it's basically what I do in my other response videos. But don't just assume that I said "in my opinion" to avoid criticism. Since in this video, you kind of come across as a bit full of yourself, if I'm being honest, and I guess that makes me kind of think that whatever you think must be fact. And also because it just makes your viewers think that I'm like some sort of like wimp and can't take criticism or something, just because you made this stupid assumption.
But he never called you stupid. If you watch the video, he was trying to explain why you using "in my opinion" so many times was bad.
And for the love of God, would you stop saying "in my opinion," because it's starting to get annoying hearing you say that line over and over again. We get it. This list consists of your opinion on what you believe are the worst Pokemon out of all the generations. Besides, even if you think saying this list is entirely your opinion will shield you from anyone who finds flaws or loopholes in your arguments, you're wrong. Even if it's your opinion, if the argument leading up to said opinion can be put into questions, people will question the logic behind your opinion. Hence why I've taken the time out of my schedule to cover this video.
Now there's another reason why I played that clip for so long. If you watch the video, you would see that Realm said if Metal Blade was using his opinion as a shield, not saying that Metal Blade was using his opinion as a shield. So no, Realm wasn't making an assumption. Metal Blade just wasn't listening. Again.
Shut the fuck up.
The only other thing he talks about is that in regards to a lowland person's beauty, he shows us Pokedex entries, which talk about its coat, in which he says that what it refers to. But the Pokemon website clearly states that the entire Pokemon is considered beautiful, not just the coat, and even then, that was just a theory that you made up.
Not really a theory if you're going off actual game canon.
Now for Bruxish. He starts off by taking so much offense to my joke of shiny Bruxish looking like an Italian restaurant. I thought that people would at least understand where the Italian part came from, but this is Mr. I don't listen we're talking about here. The reason why I said this is because of the color combination. It has red, white, and green in the color scheme, which are the same colors as the Italian flag. And then it also has yellow, which makes you think of the cheese on a pizza, along with the red being the tomato sauce, and the green possibly being lettuce or green peppers. That's why I thought of an Italian restaurant. I even made this comparison to my sister when she was looking for the Pokedex, and she agreed with me. Besides, it's just a stupid joke anyway, so why are you taking it so seriously?
Because it was a shitty joke, and the fact that you have to go and explain your joke kind of shows how shitty it is. Plus, the way you're describing it makes it sound like it looks like a pizza. So why not say it looks like a pizza, not an Italian restaurant? I mean, hey, it'd make more sense if you said that.
You're a fucking cunt.
Continuing on my point of Bruxish being outclassed, he says that my point is invalid because there's other Pokemon like Typhlosion who also get outclassed. So? That doesn't excuse Bruxish for not being as good as Golisopod.
Just because one Pokemon is better than another Pokemon doesn't make said Pokemon bad. That's what he is trying to say, you dense motherfucker.
Now for Hypno. First up, he criticizes me talking about Hypno's low special attack by saying that it wasn't designed for that purpose. I know Hypno is supposed to be a special wall, but fighting with it is going to be a bit of a chore just because of its average special attack. They could have lowered the physical attack and moved some of that towards increasing its special attack a bit more. He also mentioned Nasty Plot and Calm Mind, but Hypno doesn't learn Calm Mind through level up, which again means you have to go out of your way.
Oh man, you have to go and get a TM. You're such a petty asshole. Oh my god.
Shut the fuck up.
Getting to me talking about Hypno kidnapping children and saying that it spawned creepypastas, he says my point is invalid because creepypastas are fan-made. I'm not a fucking idiot. If you actually paid attention, then you would know I say that it spawned creepypastas, meaning that it caused them. You even say this yourself. I wasn't using the creepypastas as an actual point, but rather that Hypno is so creepy that it inspired people to make creepy stories about it.
So, there's been a creepypasta of almost every Pokemon now. That doesn't make said Pokemon creepy. What, if there's a creepypasta on Wigglytuff, do we need to consider Wigglytuff creepy now?
You're a fucking cunt.
Then they criticized me for calling Hypno a pedophile, since not human. I wasn't being serious when I said that. It was a joke that was in regards to it kidnapping children looking like an old man. But of course, like my Italian restaurant joke, you have to take everything I say so serious.
But you're getting on Realm even though he made jokes too. Pot, meat, kettle. You're both black, fuck off.
You're a fucking cunt.
Then he says that I'm just whining about the design because this isn't what I wanted when I said that I found Aromatisse disappointing. The reason why I don't like Aromatisse's design is because of the design itself! My point on finding the design disappointing was just me saying what I thought the design could have been. Also, by your stupid logic here, anybody who finds something disappointing is just a whiny baby. Oh look, Mass Effect 3! We know that everybody was disappointed with this game because of the ending, but in reality, you're just wrong and are whiny children. You see how fucking stupid this logic is?
Considering how broken your grammar is, I wouldn't consider calling anyone stupid. And let's talk about that little comparison real quick. The reason why people were upset about Mass Effect is that they made promise of different endings, and that didn't happen until, they gave out DLC. But then you compare it to Pokemon, which promised new Pokemon, and you got new Pokemon. No one ever promised that you're gonna get a Flamingo Pokemon. So yes, you're still a self-entitled asshole who's also a fucking idiot. God damn, how much longer is this video?
What pisses me off so much is that I have to explain all of this because you won't pay any attention!
Oh, fuck off. For the last 20 minutes, I had to listen to you bullshit your way through this entire video. That statement alone is pure fucking irony.
Also, he says I'm biased. Yes, I am admittedly biased because I don't like these Pokemon, so I'm naturally gonna have reasons why I dislike them that some people may disagree on. Besides, it's my opinion, which you seem to hate so much. So of course, my reasons are going to be specific to me. I'm not factually saying that they're bad.
Oh, would you look at that? You're using your opinion as a shield, so I guess Realm was right, yeah? And Realm is not saying that. He's saying that the reasons behind you thinking that these Pokemon are bad are stupid. Also, bias, noun. Prejudice in a favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. So yes, you admitting a bias is a bad thing.
Shut the fuck up.
Then he criticizes my personal grudge against Simipour by saying I didn't have to evolve it, but instead use a different water type. Again, you don't listen. I had Panpour for pretty much the entire main game at that point. I was in the after game when I evolved it. So if I did get another water type, I would either have to grind for it to catch up to the rest of my team, or if I caught an after game Pokemon, it wouldn't have all the EVs that Panpour/Simipour got. So that's why I felt stuck with using Simipour. Plus, I don't dislike it because I was forced to have it, but because I had a Pokemon I didn't like on my team.
But you could have replaced it with any water Pokemon, and there's plenty of water Pokemon to use in Unova. Also, I thought you said you didn't care about VGC, so why do you care about EVs? EVs and natures don't really matter when you're doing the main story in the game.
You're a fucking cunt.
Then we get to the Elemental Monkey's stats, and this is proof that this guy pays absolutely no attention to what I say. He calls me a hypocrite at this part because I said that Bruxus's stats were decent, but I call the monkey stats mediocre when they're higher. Jesus fucking Christ. If you actually listen to me, then you would know that I said that Bruxus's speed was decent. As for Bruxus's stats, it has good physical attack and decent speed, decent speed, decent speed, decent speed. Not its overall stats. Meanwhile, when I said that the elemental monkey stats were mediocre, I was referring to their overall stats. All elemental monkey stats are mediocre. What does that say about your credibility? Overall, Brooks' stat total is lackluster for me.
I also want to make mention that you say all the elemental monkeys have mediocre stats. Didn't you say that Brucius had a decent speed stat earlier in the countdown? Yeah, it had a 92 speed stat, and you said that was decent. And yet, here we are with all the elemental monkeys, each having a speed stat of 101, and yet you say their stats are mediocre. Hell, all 3 monkeys have a better base stat total in general compared to Brucius. So, how is it that the Pokemon with more are mediocre, while the one with less are decent?
Did you even watch this fucking video? It's funny because you keep complaining about how Realm didn't listen to you, yet here you are, proving again and again that you didn't pay attention at all, you dumb asshole.
Shut the fuck up.
As for where the other elemental monkeys are, honestly, I don't know, since this image is actually from Rabbid Luigi and Hoodlum Scrafty's top 10 worst Pokemon designs video, which didn't mention the other 2 and I couldn't find where they were. But my reasoning was just that at least one of the 3 are strongly disliked. So what does that say about the other 2?
Well, you can't make that assumption because you don't know. And just because it was at the bottom of the list doesn't necessarily make it bad. Pawniard's also at the bottom of that list. Does that make Pawniard bad too? Also, great way of just showing that you're just taking arguments from other people. Great job. You're so good at debating. You're so fucking good at debating.
You're a fucking cunt.
Now for Beware. First, when I say that I think Beware looks like a knockoff, after saying it doesn't look like a Pokemon, he calls me a fucking idiot because it means it has to look like a Pokemon. No, it fucking doesn't! Let's look at an actual Pokemon knockoff being Robopon. Even though this game rips off Pokemon, the robots that you fight don't look anything like a Pokemon.
I mean, they kinda do look like Pokemon. We've had Pokemon based on devices before, so these could possibly fit in. The reason why your argument doesn't work calling Beware a Pokemon knockoff is that a knockoff tries to replicate the style of something. So in the end, even if Beware was a knockoff Pokemon, it would still look like a Pokemon.
Shut the fuck up.
Teddiursa has more features since it has claws, the beady eyes, the circle around its mouth, the holes in its ears, and the crescent moon on its head. Meanwhile, Beware has the beady eyes as well, generic paw symbols, ears that look like a headband, and a tail. Not only is that less notable features than Teddiursa, but things like the paw symbols and the headband ears are less interesting as well, in my opinion.
But they're still notable nonetheless. Sure, they might not be that interesting to you, but these traits are what make Beware unique and what makes it stand out.
You're a fucking cunt.
As for when I say that I personally don't understand why some people dislike Pokemon with complex designs, this is when he lectures me about character design. I skipped this rant just because my entire point was towards people that hated complex designs, not those who like basic designs. There are some people who don't like Pokemon with complex designs, which I never understood since I prefer Pokemon with complex designs as it makes them look more interesting. But when I skipped to the end, he said that I just disregarded the view of people liking basic designs. Bull fucking shit. I said I never understood why people dislike complex designs. Not that they were wrong. The reason why I never understood was because people never actually gave a reason themselves. And the fact that I even mentioned this viewpoint in the video shows that I didn't disregard it. I actually acknowledged it. Why are you gonna be so sensitive?
But Realm never said that. If you watched the video, he wasn't saying you were disregarding people, but disregarding the viewpoint.
Point being, while complex designs are cool to see, simple designs also have their perks, and to completely disregard that viewpoint simply because you don't agree with it really makes you come off as extremely pig-headed.
God, the bullshit in here is so thick I need a chainsaw to cut through it all. And this further proves my point when he said that everything about this video was wrong because he didn't watch the full video.
Then we get to me talking about Beware's blank expression where he says, maybe that's just a joke. Oh my god, have you not played the game? Spoiler alert here, but the part of the game I was referring to was the second battle against Lucamine in Ultra Space, where all of our Pokemon are powered up like Totem Pokemon. All of them have very angry expressions except for Beware, and this is supposed to be an incredibly serious moment in the game.
Really? The second Lucamine became a giant tentacle monster, I'm pretty sure all sense of seriousness was thrown out the window.
Then I talk about not finding BOS type combination interesting, in which he takes this out of context and says, but think of the type coverage, even though my reasoning for why I didn't find the type interesting was because I'm not a fan of normal types, just because I don't find them very interesting. And although this is coming from someone who isn't really that big of a fan of normal types.
Please stop saying he's taking you out of context, because clearly you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You're a fucking cunt.
As for Fluffy, when I say it's up to you on whether it's good or bad ability because of its weakness to fire being a drawback, he says, well, don't put it up against fire types. Well, what if you had no choice, such as BY being your last Pokemon? Also, you completely forget that non-fire types can still learn fire type moves. You want to know the main way that non-fire types can get fire type moves? Through TMs! You know, the thing you keep mentioning the whole time!
But TMs aren't used until the Elite Four and onwards in the main story in Pokemon games. And heck, if you have Beware up against a Pokemon that can learn a Fire-type move, you can always look it up just to be sure. And if the Pokemon does know a Fire-type move, you can just pull it out. And if you do find yourself in a situation where you only have Beware left, well, that's on you for being a shitty trainer.
Speaking of TMs, I mentioned how Beware's level up moves meant that you had to rely on TMs to get good type coverage. I knew that he was going to kick off and be all like, oh, now you mention TMs, since he's so predictable. But then he kicks off at me for not showing the TM move list. I mentioned TMs for a split second before immediately going back to its level up moves. So there would be no point in displaying the TM moves for such a short amount of time, since nobody would be able to really look at them.
I don't know, you could have delved deeper into the TMs it could use, give a few examples, but nah, that'd be hard work, and you wouldn't want to do that.
Shut the fuck up.
When I say that I think Incineroar's design is awkward and doesn't work, he says that doesn't explain why it doesn't work. I literally just said I thought it looked awkward, and once more, you take this out of context, since I cover this throughout the whole section of talking about Incineroar's design.
But how does it look awkward? And no, you really didn't go into detail. All you did was compare it to Knuckles, which Realm already debunked, and then talked about how it has large hands, which I argue makes sense for Incineroar, considering it would give it ties to its move, Darkest Lariat.
Then, when I talk about Incineroar's legs, he's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Since they get thicker as it gets closer to the upper body. I know this, but they still look too skinny for me, so it's just weird how these thin legs are supposed to hold up such a massive torso.
So you agree that the legs make sense, but then you say they still look weird. Forget the Italian restaurant, this has to be the stupidest thing you've ever said.
Then when I say it would be better if the designers did something different with Incineroar rather than having yet another fire starter on 2 legs, he says, how would that change the design? It'll be on 4 legs. Was that not obvious enough? Also, because it would look more tiger-like to me rather than human.
But it'd still have the same design. Just because it went on 4 legs wouldn't change anything for Incineroar, except that now it's on 4 legs. It wouldn't look like that picture that you threw up, it just looked like Incineroar, but on 4 legs. A great example of this is Typhlosion, who can go on 2 and 4 legs. But regardless of how he stands, he still looks the same. So why would this suddenly change Incineroar?
You're a fucking cunt.
Next, it goes over me saying that my point on Incineroar looking more human than Tiger by saying it's anthropomorphic like Tony the Tiger. Pokemon is a different style to Frosted Flakes, and Tony the Tiger is basically just a tiger on 2 legs. Meanwhile, as I said in the video, Incineroar is primarily a human muscular body with a few cat features added on. It's the opposite. Instead of making an animal more human, they make a human more animal.
I mean, there's been human-like Pokemon before. There's a ton of them. Heck, you'd argue that maybe there's a grip. Oh! Well, would you look at that? And even then, there are humanoid Pokemon that aren't in the human-like A group. The only reason why you're bitching about Incineroar is just because you just want to bitch about Incineroar.
Shut the fuck up.
As for the leotard and tiger mask, which is the only design-related things you mentioned at this part, the leotard doesn't look like a leotard at all. It looks more like a ripped t-shirt, and for the tiger mask, the tiger head is Incineroar's actual head. It's not wearing a mask, so it's not exactly the case.
So you say it looks like a ripped t-shirt, which is an example Realm gave in his video. And for it being a mask, look at its fur. Look at the black fur on its head. You cannot tell me that isn't shaped like a mask.
You're a fucking cunt.
Then we get to Incineroar's stats and moves, in which he now thinks that Incineroar is supposed to be a glass cannon. I never said that. I said that Incineroar is kind of the more balanced option because its defenses are decent. I personally think that Incineroar should just have more physical defense than what it actually does, because I can imagine the wrestler taking physical hits well, but something like an Energy Blast, not so well.
Ew, gross, no, why would you do that? Incineroar needs his bulk considering his typing leaves him open to a lot of weaknesses. And Realm never said you said he was a glass cannon. Realm was thinking Incineroar could fit as a glass cannon.
And even if we were to argue that's not the case and that those stats are terrible, then I can easily argue that Incineroar's role in battle is the glass cannon. High offensive power with frail defenses. I mean, what do you think Alakazam and Sharpedo are?
As for abilities, he criticizes me because Incineroar's Intimidate is better than Primarina's Liquid Voice. I know Intimidate is better, but my point was that it isn't a unique ability like what Decidueye and Primarina got, which felt a bit underwhelming for me.
Who cares? At the end of the day, Incineroar still has a good ability. Sure, it's not a unique ability, but it's a good ability nonetheless. I'll take what I have instead of bitching about it.
You're a fucking cunt.
Then for moves, he says I'm wrong about Incineroar not receiving consistent moves that support its stats by saying that it learns Flamethrower. Flamethrower is a special move, and Incineroar's special attack is much lower than its physical attack. Therefore, Flamethrower does not support its stats! Do you even know how Pokemon works?
I mean, sure, Incineroar isn't that good on special attacks, but it still has a special attack stat of 80. It won't do a lot of damage, but it'll do some damage. And let's actually look at Incineroar's move pool and see how it, quote-unquote, doesn't support its stats. Okay, so we got Darkest Lariat, a Throat Chop, which gives it a stab, Fire Fang, Flare Blitz, which is actually a really good fire physical move, Outrage, one of the best dragon-type physical moves out there, Cross Chop, Thrash, it can learn Fake Out, which is a great move, Crunch is another great move, Revenge, another good fighting type move that can help, Bulldoze, Shadow Claw, Acrobatics, Brutal Swing, Low Sweep, Facade, Brick Break, Leech Life, U-Turn. Do you see what I mean? There's so many moves that can support Incineroar. The fact he's saying Incineroar's move pool doesn't support its stats is bullshit. And with that, the video comes to an end. I know there's more, but really at this point, he just goes off the rails and shows how salty he got because of Realm's commentary. Oh my god. Metal Blade, all this video did was make you look worse. The fact that you didn't watch Realm's commentary all the way through speaks volumes of you as a person when it comes to receiving criticism. Sure, Realm was a little hard, but he's hard on everyone. You weren't an exception. Harsh criticism is still criticism. Now, I was originally going to applaud Metal Blade for admitting his mistakes on this response, but upon interaction with the man himself, I've realized he's learned nothing from Realm's video. Metal Blade has made it abundantly clear he cannot take harsh criticism in any sort of form, which is one of the things he proceeds to get on Realm about, which makes him seem very arrogant. Who are you to tell someone how or how not they should do their commentary? I don't care if this was your first impression of Realm Wars. Realm Wars has always been harsh in his commentaries. He did it back then, he's still doing it now, and he'll continue to do it on in the future. The only reason why you are making this such an issue is because Realm came at you hard, and then you went and made a shitty little response that was nothing more but Mount Everest levels of salt, you crying about Realm calling you stupid, and autistic screeching. And yes, I know he remade his response, but it's basically the same thing, save for a few points and being less angry. Oh, and bitching about Manga Conor because he commented on him. Because calling him out on his bullshit is his trigger, I guess. And hey, if Metal Blade is actually watching this video, well, first, hi. Second, I think you need to rethink this entire situation. There's a reason why people are commenting on your response. There's a reason why people are saying you're still wrong in this situation. At least for your sake, will you think about it? I just want to let you know, I love Sun and Moon. I love the locations, I love the characters, I love the story. I just love Sun and Moon so much. Here, let me show you how much I love Sun and Moon. Nate. Yeah. I love Sun and Moon. But yeah, Sun and Moon are great. But I've recently made a discovery. The Pokemon in Sun and Moon are bad. Why are they bad? 'Cause memes. 'Cause fucking memes, guys. The Pokemon in Sun and Moon are bad Cause of fucking memes! They're bad cause... God damn it. Now, if you couldn't tell from my little introduction, I'm going to be doing a commentary on Stillahawk's top 10 worst Gen 7 Pokemon. And if you thought Metal Blade's arguments were shit... Man, you are not prepared for the fuck train that this video is. Now, there's one more thing I want to make clear before I start this video. The reason why I'm commentating on this video is not because Stillahawk doesn't like these Pokemon. If Stillahawk doesn't want to like these Pokemon, more power to him. But the reason why I'm commentating on this video is because of the reasons behind said opinions. And with that being said, I think we can start the video. All aboard the pain train of bullshit explanations and zero research. Woot woot!
The moon definitely presents the most pleasant world we've seen so far, but then we get to some of the new Pokemon. And oh god did they drop the ball on this one. Whether you like the direction they took the designs or not, there's no questioning that objectively, these are some of the dumbest motherfuckers we've seen thus far.
Psylocke, you dumb idiot, moron, face, that's completely subjective.
Then how do you explain all these memes? There's so many memes! Nearly every Pokemon from Sun and Moon is its own meme.
Yeah, right, this bit. Question. Why do memes make these Pokemon bad? If you're expecting an explanation, well, he doesn't give one. Look, I'm not a fan of memes either, but I understand that they're just shitty jokes at the end of the day. So I don't understand why these jokes apparently make Gen 7 have the worst Pokemon in them. Also, objectively, adverb, in a way that is not influenced by personal feelings or opinions. You're saying you're not being influenced by personal feelings, yet here you are saying all the Gen 7 Pokemon suck because there are memes of them. Come the fuck on, dude.
But fine, I'll admit, I'm almost glad these designs exist for the memes alone. I can only wonder if that was an intentional move by Game Freak as a publicity stunt.
Then why bitch about it? Seriously, if it doesn't bother you that much, then why bring it up to begin with? All this does is pad out your intro. Well, that and makes you look like a complete dumbass for hating Gen 7 Pokemon for one of the most retarded reasons I've ever seen.
And beyond that, I do want to iterate, these entries are based on designs and designs only. So if I end up putting something on this list as a super dark Pokédex entry or whatever the heck, note that I'm only focusing on the appearances of these guys. Because, you know, I'm super shallow or whatever.
And why is your video called Top 10 Worst Gen 7 Pokemon? Shouldn't it be called something like, I don't know, Top 10 Gen 7 Pokemon whose design I don't like? Because that's all you're going over, their design. Did you do this for clickbait? Because this is a very misleading title, because you're just calling them bad based on their designs.
Well, let's cut the bullcrap and count down what you came here to see. Hey, I'm Soghawk, and this is the top 10 worst Gen 7 Pokemon.
Psylocke,
Yeah?
are you sure you aren't just making this video to piss people off? Are you sure?
No, I seriously just thought this would be a fun video to make.
Yeah, well then how do you explain that?
Look, I can explain.
Don't keep promises you can't keep, boy. I will tear your ass apart if there isn't a good explanation for this entry.
Yeah, real subtle way to start the countdown, right? But hey, these are the first Gen 7 Pokemon that we saw, so I only think it's fair to start the list off of them. I do want to say, none of these, minus one of them I'll cover in a second, are really that horrible, but the inconsistency is definitely there. For the sake of not jumping back and forth, I'm just going to give my quick thoughts on the 3 starter lines and their subsequent forms right now. First off, we got Rowlet. And yeah, sorry to trigger the Litten and Popplio fanboys, but I do like Rowlet's first form the most. Hashtag Team Rowlet. My only problem is, despite thinking the design looks solid enough, does this look like a starter to you? It certainly doesn't to me. It looks like one of the field birds you find early on in the games. So yeah, like the design, doesn't really look like a starter though.
Okay, but why? You compare it to Hoot, who is the only field bird Pokemon that is an owl. How exactly does this make Rowlet look more like a field bird Pokemon? Also, might I mention, why does it not look like a starter Pokemon? What exactly makes a starter Pokemon? See, I ask these questions because he doesn't give any explanations. Look, dude, if you're gonna make a claim like that, you gotta give better reasons besides, oh, I just feel like it. I know this is an opinion list, but just saying Rowlet's design looks bad because it doesn't look like a starter because you feel like it is a very lazy and very stupid reason.
Oh, moving on to Litten. Edgy Yokai Watch Cat. Yeah, okay. Also, come on. Fire hairballs. Look, you could give me crap if you want, but that's just ridiculous. Popplio. Oh boy, you were just doomed from the start, weren't you? The second the starters were revealed, the majority immediately decided that Popplio was the weakest link. That upset so many people that you now see people petitioning to stop the Popplio hate. Kind of funny, actually. But yeah, I gotta agree with the majority on this one. Not a huge fan of Tom and Jerry Seal.
So, still waiting on those explanations? Yeah, surprise, surprise, he doesn't explain. But don't worry, guys, he clearly knows what he's talking about. You also bring up people who wanted to stop the Popplio hate. why is this bad exactly? His wording is so vague about it. Like, are you shitting on people who want to defend Popolio? You could have spent this time going into more depth about why you don't like Popolio's design, which, by the way, you don't really explain that either. Fuck me, this is gonna be the rest of the video, isn't it?
Onto the second evolutions, we got Datrix, who is an owl with an emover. In fact, the game literally states that he, quote-unquote, is going through a phase. Besides the teenage dude, not a horrible design. Torracat, pretty solid. Bryon, oh boy, here we go. I mean, look, I'm really sorry if somebody watching this actually likes Bryon, but Ballerina Seal. There is no redemption to be had here. Also, can I just point out that this thing only has a little more than a 1 out of 10 chance of being a female? Yeah, Miss Popstar over here, most likely a dude.
Oh, fuck you. You're not even trying to explain anymore. If you held any knowledge about the Pokemon games, you would know that every starter has an 87% chance of being male. How the fuck did you miss this? And why is it a problem that there's a chance of it being male? We've had very masculine and very feminine Pokemon who are both capable of being either male or female. Game Freak has done it before, so why is it a problem now? You are bitching about Brioni just to bitch about Brioni.
On to final forms. Decidueye, not bad. Incineroar, oh jeez. Do I even need a comment? It's dumb, okay? End of story.
Give me an explanation on why a Pokemon looks dumb. Nah, I wouldn't want to do that. That'd actually require work and effort and using my brain.
Also, it's not even a fighting type. If you're gonna turn a cat into a WWE wrestler, at least give it a typing that makes sense.
Well, let's take a look here. Incineroar is based off a heel wrestler, and heel wrestlers are known to be the villains in wrestling. And considering that in the original games, dark types are called evil types, well, you put 2 and 2 together. And why are you bitching about his typing? I thought you were talking about his design. Jesus Christ, we're in the first entry and this video is already an inconsistent fucking mess.
Oh, hey, I don't dislike all of these, so why did I collectively put them all in number 10? Also, geez, am I seriously still in number 10? Yeah, not all of these are bad, but my problem is that if I were to say Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Gold, Gen 3, Gen 5, what's the first thing you think of? The starters and the legendaries, right? As far as first impressions go, these guys aren't doing much for me. And despite if you absolutely love Poplio or absolutely love Rowlet or whatever, I still have yet to meet a single person that loves all 3 starters, including their evolutions. That being said, let's get this damn show on the road. I can't believe I just spent all this time on number 10.
Just because you've yet to find someone who loves all of the starters equally doesn't make the starters bad. There are tons and tons of people who love Rowlet, Poplio, or Litten. Just because you've yet to find someone who loves all 3 of them equally doesn't make them bad. And what is it about these starters that don't make them memorable? At the beginning of this entry, you said you'd explain why all 3 of the starters are on this list. The reason why this is a problem is that you are trying to construct a video trying to convince your audience on why these Pokemon design-wise are bad. But you can't seem to be bothered with basic fucking research. Hence why I'm making this video. And let's talk about the length of your entry. You spent 4 out of the 12-minute video just talking about the starters. Not also just completely asinine because you're going to end up rushing the rest of your entries now, but the fact that you acknowledge it doesn't help either. You know it's a problem, but you don't do anything about it. Seriously, what the fuck?
To the point, I think Sigaleo is pretty alright, but Linal's design is kind of a mess. Again, these aren't horrible, but when it comes to legendaries, pretty alright just doesn't cut it for me. Much like the starters, the legendaries should represent the best the game has to offer, and there is just much better to see in Sun and Moon than these guys.
Yeah, cause Stillock says so, that's why. Seriously though, can I please have an explanation? What do Lycanroc, Vigavolt, and Necrozma have to offer about Sun and Moon that the legendaries aren't apparently offering?
Beyond that, the thing that really upsets me is that the legendaries in X and Y were so good. Straight up, I think Xerneas and Yveltal are the best legendaries we've had since Ho-Oh and Lugia. Needless to say, I was a bit let down by these 2. And in the sake of transparency, I got like 3 other videos I should be working on right now, so let's just move on to number 8.
Stop the music! Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, I'm working on other videos, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. Really, dude? Really? I thought you said you were doing this video for fun, so why the fuck are you rushing it? What, is someone pointing a gun at your head and telling you that you need to make this video as fast as possible? Well, I mean, that'd explain why all your reasons are shit. But seriously though, if this is the kind of mindset you have when making videos, it kind of makes me worry about the quality of your channel as a whole.
Whoa, hey, back it up, back it up! Do we have a problem, or is your jaw just permanently stuck like that? When I first saw Yungoos's design, I thought it was pretty horrible, but evaluating it further, his design is alright. It's just the mouth that throws me off. Is the mouth alone reason enough to throw him on a list? I don't know, but he's already on here, so...
And apparently that's enough to land it on a top 10 worst list. Seriously though, you're pretty petty for throwing Yungoos on here just because of one thing you don't like about its design.
Yungoos, the loitering Pokemon... Wait, what? May not be so bad when overlooking his weirdly drawn mouth, but even then, he is a bit generic. Also, he evolves in his Ultra.
We need to build a wall.
Damn, you're not even trying anymore, are you? Seriously though, this was a very rushed entry. What about Yungoos makes its design generic? And why did you use a meme? I thought you said all the Gen 7 Pokemon were bad because of memes. What the fuck is this list?
I think all of you knew this guy would be somewhere on the list. But why so low? I can't help it. After about 200 memes of this guy, he starts to grow on you. It's gotten to the point where the poor thing isn't even seen as a Pokemon anymore. He's devolved into nothing more than a meme. But what a great meme to be!
Okay, man, you're sending me mixed messages here. I thought you said the Gen 7 Pokemon were bad because there were so many memes of them. Yet here you are saying that you like a little Executor because of the memes. What the fuck, dude? Do you like these Pokemon because of memes, or do you not like them because of the memes?
And if the design wasn't enough, the thing is also a Dragon type. Why?
Oh, that's simple. For you see, Alolan Executor is based on Dracena trees. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And Dracena literally means female dragon. I mean, you do know there's a reason behind these typings and designs, right?
Its type alone made it a meme. Poor Charizard. You'll just have to live the rest of your life knowing that Memer McLaws over here out-dragoned you.
Sure, let's ignore the fact that it has a Mega Evolution that can turn it into a Fire Dragon, and it's also in the Dragon Egg group. I'm sure your precious Charizard is fine.
I hate Mondays.
You know, turning Meowth into a sassy cat is one thing. In fact, you know what? I'll even say I like it. But what in the holy hell is this? Why is his face all swollen up?
Most likely because Alolan Persian is based on the British Shorthair, an imported breed known well for its large and rounded head. Again, there's a reason why these Pokemon are designed the way they are, and it's not that hard to look up as to why.
So that thing I said in the beginning, these entries are based on designs and designs only. Mostly because of this guy. Okay, yeah, I get it. It possesses people and it's resting on top of a pile of bones or whatever, and that's super edgy. I don't care what brooding backstory you try to give it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact it's a fucking sandcastle.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Pokemon based on items has always been a thing since Gen 1. There's also the fact Sandygast is a ghost type. And if you could see, throughout the series, a majority of ghost types are possessed items. So I ask, why is Sandygast such a problem all of a sudden? Oh, he doesn't explain? Well, no surprise there, considering he's proven again and again that he is a lazy fuck.
What the fuck is this? So apparently, Pedo Bear has a cousin, and surprisingly enough, equally as creepy. But guess what? He's actually not on the list. His first form is. So besides its ball butt,
That, my friend, is a tail.
it has a tag coming out of his ass. This isn't like Mimikyu where it's a haunted cheetah cloth. This is just a bear that has the misfortune of having qualities of a stuffed animal, including its name. And I'm sure I'm gonna have some people in the comments going,
Oh, but it's cute.
and fine. If that's honestly your opinion, then it is what it is. At the same time, if all it takes for you to consider something as cute is to slap a pair of glossy eyes and a smile, because I'm not sure what else it could be.
I mean, Stuffle is also based on a stuffed animal, and lots of people love stuffed animals, so maybe that's why many people find it cute. And really, dude, you're gonna give people shit for liking Stuffle? I mean, it is kind of ironic, considering you seem to throw a bitch fit whenever anyone shits on you.
This may seem a bit anticlimactic, but the #1 worst Gen 7 Pokemon, and yours too, is Bruxish.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna have a fucking idiot speak for me. The fact that you're assuming everyone hates Bruxish is retarded. Get your head out of your ass.
The colors are all over the place, they gave it human lips with lipstick for some reason, and its general demeanor is just creepy. Like, stop staring at me like that. No! I may have already had 10 shots at this party, but even I'm not that desperate. Admittedly, I don't think Bruxish is my personal worst Gen 7, but I had to put it on number 1 because I don't think anyone likes this thing. It really is the jinx of Gen 7, a Pokemon nobody would consider as their personal number 1 worst, but looking at it just makes you feel uncomfortable. Obviously, different people are gonna like different Pokemon. While I personally dislike Pokemon like Garbodor, there are people out there who actually like this thing. I don't really understand why, but hey, I'm not gonna purposely ignore those opinions just because I disagree with them.
But you seem to have no problem shitting on them, right?
But when Game Freak designs a Pokemon like Bruxish, and immediately gets a response from everyone, that's when you know you done goofed.
Oh, get off your fucking high horse already. You trying to speak for everyone does nothing but make you look like a complete jackass. The fact that there are people who like Bruxish shows that you do not speak for everyone. And with that, the video comes to an end. Final thoughts? Basically, this video is the same as his top 10 Pokemon that shouldn't exist video, minus the fact that he's working with 2 other people and this video has better visuals. And I'll say this one more time, I understand that top 10s are completely subjective, but his reasons are complete and utter shit. Seriously, a majority of the Pokemon that you put on this list were on here because you felt like they were bad, which is fine, but if that's the only reason why they're on said list, it doesn't fucking work. Not everyone is going to give a shit about your feelings. They want reasons, which majority of yours were bullshit anyway. And do I really need to explain why rushing this video was such a fucking terrible idea?